Hello, my friends. Hello. Welcome back to another video. We are in the new garage. Welcome. This, you guys, is really what my main focus has been on for the past few months here, moving in with my beautiful girlfriend in this house. And so this is where we live now, and we have the two cars that are currently in my possession. We have the 135 with the N54. The car has not hit the body shop yet. Unfortunately, the body shop is behind, so it will be going to the body shop soon though, and we can finish up this project, or at least get it closer to where I want it to be. And then of course the E92 M3, which has just always been an ongoing project for the past few months. But let's get down to the nitty gritty, the question that you guys have been asking me constantly. Literally every video you guys have been commenting, where is the M4GTS? And you will notice that it has not been on the channel. It is not in the garage, obviously, and I've really not talked about it for a while now. I actually sold the M4GTS. I know that some of you might be shocked by that, and some of you are probably not shocked at all. So I bought the M4GTS a little under a year ago, and it was an incredible car. I mean, if you know anything about the F82s in general, being able to own an M4GTS is just one of the coolest experiences of my life. It was a dream to own one. And you're probably asking yourself, well, if it was a dream, then why didn't you keep it forever? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm kind of at this point in my life where, you know, making these videos, I don't want to feel like I have to explain myself every single time that I make a personal decision in my life to achieve greater goals. But I do also realize that you guys being a part of this channel and, you know, the growth that we've had and all the people that are a part of this little community that we've built do deserve some answers. You know, I don't want to keep you guys in the dark, and that's the reason why you're here, is because of the cars. So the M4GTS, there was nothing wrong with the car in particular. I just came across a really good opportunity to offload that car for basically the same amount that I paid for it in a market that was super hot, and I noticed that it was beginning to decline. So, you know, a couple of months ago when I sold it, I got really good value for the car. And, you know, with that car, with it being such a special car, the GTS, those cars are really more of long-term investments. And while I would have loved to, you know, hold on to that car forever, unfortunately, the M4 GTS, the specific one that I had, really wouldn't be the best example of one that you would want to hold on to for a while in order to make money, because the car did have a couple of accidents on the Carfax, and it also, you know, was missing things like the roll cage. Not to say that it wasn't a clean car, it was a very clean car. I took really good care of it, and it was in mint condition, way better than when I bought it. When I sold it, it didn't have the roll cage. I never went ahead and did that. But, you know, it was missing a few factory things that came on the car. And anytime you own a very special car like that, you're sort of tiptoeing around the VIN number a little bit. Unfortunately, you know, I didn't want to put the $10,000, $15,000 into the car to get it back to the perfect OEM condition in order to make more money down the road. I really don't think I ever would have made more money down the road because of just the circumstances with that particular one. Now it did, like I said, it had 2 accidents on the Carfax with that car, and it's not like I didn't know that when I bought it. I bought the car pretty much knowing that I wouldn't keep the car forever, but it was a really cool opportunity to just own the car for a little while and experience it, and I'm super glad I did. I have no regrets taking that plunge and going after that car and just enjoying it and being able to make a few videos for you guys. I also got to get my feet wet with the S55 a little bit. Fantastic platform. I do plan on at some point doing it again, but really what it boiled down to for me was I was able to get all of my money back out of the car. I had some really good equity in the car as well, and I sort of saw what was happening with the trends of the market, and I decided it was just a good time to get out of it and get into something else. When I got rid of that car, I actually picked up the E92 M3, and you know, a lot of people are going to say like, wow, what a downgrade. For me, this was the car that I actually intended on buying before I got the GTS. If you guys have been on the channel long enough and you had heard me talking prior to me buying the GTS, you would know that I was looking at these cars as well as E46 M3s, but something about the E92 M3, I just really wanted another E9X S65 car in the garage. And so I just decided that ultimately it didn't make sense to have all of that money wrapped up in the GTS when I could definitely get into one of these, a decent spec, you know, a spec that I really wanted, a manual, single hump. So I just jumped for it, you guys. I went for it. And honestly, I'm really glad I did. You know, the GTS was a really cool car, but this is the car that I had my sights on before. And the reality is, you know, I can't keep all the cars. I wish I could. I wish I could keep every single car that I ever had on this channel. And I know that it sort of bums some of you guys out when I have to get rid of cars sometimes. I totally get it, you know, and I'm trying to do better myself with finishing and executing more in the builds before I get rid of them. I know that I didn't really do too much to the GTS, and really that was another reason why I got rid of the car. You know, the whole point of this channel, and really what gives me the desire to make these videos, is building these cars, is working on these cars and sort of taking them from nothing and turning them into something. And a good example is the 135. It's going to look like a completely different car. It's going to look like a 1M. Obviously it's not real, but that's okay. This is a project, a true project car. I bought this car without an engine, basically without an entire front end, and went in and completely redid everything. If you know anything about the E92 M3, this thing was in really bad condition too. It looks freaking amazing now. Like, we did such a good job in such a short amount of time. Really, what's next for this is, well, a few things. I don't want to spoil it all, but it is going to have some body work done, some paint and whatnot, but we'll talk about that later. So the thing with the GTS, unfortunately, you know, I quickly learned that, you know, buying a car of that nature, it's just not really for me, because I like to mess with my cars. I like to play with my cars. I like to modify my cars. That's not really the type of car you want to buy if you want to modify it, unless you're just super money bags and you have all the money in the world to do whatever you want. But with that car in particular, you know, it didn't really make sense, because in the end, I was just going to be devaluing the car if I did any more to it. I obviously did like all the basic, real simple stuff, some bolt-ons, some exterior stuff, which was pretty polarizing for a lot of people because it was a GTS. It just didn't really make sense to do really what I wanted to do to that car, which would have been more along the lines of like going single turbo and doing some crazy stuff. Yeah, with that car, it didn't really make sense. So the GTS, you know, to be completely honest, like I never even had the intentions of buying that car. I ended up reviewing the car one day at the dealership, and I just really, really liked it. And the owner was like, look, we can give you a really good deal on this car, because, you know, it did have some stuff on the Carfax and it was missing the roll cage. So it wasn't a $90,000, $100,000 GTS. It was a little bit cheaper. And I was like, wow, this is a pretty cool opportunity for me to at least taste one of the most iconic BMWs, in my opinion, M cars ever made, which was the GTS. And dude, it was such a cool car. Really one of the coolest cars I've ever owned. Well, yeah, the coolest car I've ever owned, in my opinion. It was like basically having a race car with, you know, street legal license plates on it. It was such a sweet car. But on to bigger and better things. You know, sometimes you have to make sacrifices in life in order to elevate. And then hopefully the long game is down the road, I'll have a big enough space and all of the opportunity to own as many of these cars as possible. But you have to be real with yourself, and you have to be smart about, you know, when you make these decisions. Obviously, this is a huge passion of mine. I love doing this. I would never have built the channel to this level without this being a massive passion of mine. But at the same time, it's also a job. And so if you're not generating revenue, you can't live. And so you need to make the right decisions from a business perspective in order to bring in enough revenue and, you know, support yourself and your family. So, you know, the GTS, I didn't really do a whole lot to it in the last few months that I owned it. The focus was on the project, which was really this at the time. And I kind of found myself back in this place where I was really enjoying taking these cars from nothing and turning them into something, which I think is what this channel is sort of all about. I haven't done all of these cars perfectly. It's been a learning experience along the way. And it's really interesting to me to see the difference in the builds now versus what they were, you know, back in the 328 days, and even the E36 M3, you know, I sold that one, and there was a lot of things that I would have done differently. I learned over the years to not cut corners and to use better parts and to just do things the right way the first time and put a little more money into it and a little more time and effort to make it a quality build. There were a lot of corners cut on previous builds that I just learned from over the years. So the GTS is unfortunately gone. I know some of you guys are going to be super bummed about that, but it was in my opinion, it was the right move. You know, it's obviously the only opinion that matters when it comes to your own personal cars and finances is your own, but getting rid of the car just made sense. And, you know, I got obviously my money out of it. I got my equity out of it, and I was able to kind of get it into the E92 M3, the car that I originally wanted. Like I said, the GTS was sort of just like a random impulsive thing that popped up. And even in the reveal video of the GTS, you know, I did state, I don't know if this will be a forever car. I knew it was not going to be a forever car, but I was just grateful to be able to have that experience in that car. Would I ever own one again? Probably not. Probably not, because I don't think that these special VIN cars are really for me. I think that, you know, for me, it's more about taking the base model cars that are a little bit cheaper and more relatable and building them into something cool. Even cars that need a lot of work or, you know, are pretty banged up. Those are the ones where I really find myself invested and, you know, I really enjoy a lot more than just throwing a bunch of bolt-ons on and just calling it a day. So that's kind of been the evolution of what has happened over the years, and especially over the past few months with all the changes. But super grateful to have had the experience and have learned so much from having these cars. And these two are, you know, they're going to be staying for the indefinite future. These are just, I have so much time and energy into these cars, and I sort of see a bigger goal with these cars, and it's not like these cars are really draining the finances out of my pockets. You know, obviously I'm putting money into them, but I'm not making any payments on these cars, so I own them, which is a beautiful thing, and they are just awesome cars to own. The 135 is just so different than the E92 M3, but also like kind of similar. It's cool to own two of these cars that I've always like idolized, but also like they're the same spec. You know, it's like black on black. This is Jerez black. This is jet black. This is red interior, manual, single hump. It's cool to own two cars that are very similar like that, but also so different in their own right, being that this is the N54 and this is the S65. They're just completely different cars. So I had this car sitting in storage while my girlfriend and I were moving into the new house, which took, you know, a couple of weeks of a ton of work. If you've ever moved into a house, you know how that goes. And this was sitting in storage. I just brought it home last night, and I missed this car. I really missed the 135. It's just so fun to drive. It's just different than any other car I've ever owned. So this car, I'm actually going to the body shop this afternoon. I have a meeting with them to talk about the car and see what we can do in order to get it in. And I really hope to get this car done. You know, I want it done before summer. I unfortunately missed Beamer Invasion. I will not be there. Life things happen, man. You know, all this stuff, we can't plan for it, and sometimes you just have other priorities that pop up. And, you know, originally when I bought this car, I wanted it to be built for Beamer Invasion, but unfortunately it will not make it. But that's the way it goes sometimes, and I didn't want to rush it. I really wanted to do this car right, and I didn't want to just rush it for the show. So when it is ready, it's going to be done, and it's going to look really good, and it's going to be done the right way. You know, the other thing with the GTS is a lot of people were telling me that the content was a bit unrelatable on that car, and I completely understand that. That's kind of also why I've started to go back to cars that are just like a bit more affordable, because I think that, you know, when people are watching YouTube and they're watching channels like Daily Driven Exotics and stuff like that, that's not really what I do. Like, I'm not like an entertainer outside trying to bring you guys on supercar rallies and just burnouts and big turbos and all that stuff. It's not really what I do. Like, this is more of like a build channel and kind of like leading people through the process, or my processes of building these cars up from where they are and like kind of where my head's at. And I like to share that process and my mentality going through these cars with you guys. And I think that, you know, the few of you that are routinely coming back to the videos are the ones that I'm really making the videos for. I know that this video, because it's a dramatic video about selling the GTS, is going to get a lot of clicks and a lot of views, but the reality is the majority of people that are going to watch this video don't really watch the channel on a consistent basis, and the few of you that come to this channel often will understand why it's not here and why these make more sense for what I do. So that is currently where we are at, guys. I just wanted to make this video so, you know, you had a bit of an explanation. I know that it kind of took me a while to make the video, and I apologize for that, but there's other things were pressing in life, had other priorities. And also, you know, I wanted to try out not having to explain myself right off the bat when I made a decision, because I knew that decision would definitely upset some people, and I get it. You know, I totally get it. But at the end of the day, like, we got to make these decisions for ourselves. There's no one else out here that is living our own lives and paying our own bills. So that's really what it comes down to. But yeah, super excited for the future of these two cars. And then also I'm thinking at some point, I'm kind of working on getting a sort of a shop space, flex setup, storage thingy, to where I can always put one car and kind of just shimmy them around. So I am thinking of getting some sort of newer car in the garage. We've talked about the A91 manual transmission Supra. We've talked about the all-wheel drive brand new, what is it, G42 M240. Thought about even like G80, but still I think G80 prices are just way too high for those cars. And really I would like to have one of those like newer type cars in the garage to just make it a really fun, fast, popular platform, which again ties into like the business side of what I do. The reality is, you know, a lot of N54 stuff has already been done on YouTube. A lot of S65 stuff has already been done on YouTube. These cars really don't garnish the best amount of views, but these are really what I enjoy doing. So I'll always kind of keep these around so I can still get my fix while also bringing in a car that isn't too crazy expensive, but I know that I'll have fun in modifying and making faster, cooler looking, whatever, and kind of give you guys a little more of what you want when it comes to platforms. I think the obvious answer is a B58 because it's really the most popular platform out there right now. And I've had two different B58s at this point, technically three before I lost one of them, but I've had two different B58 platforms at this point, and both of them have been amazing. I mean, I love that engine. I just think it's one of the best BMW engines for the amount of money that you can get. When it comes to what you have to put into the car in order to make good power, you can just really make impressive gains with that platform. So I'll probably end up going somewhere with a B58. However, I will approach it a little bit differently than all of the previous builds where we just slap a bunch of bolt-ons on. We would go pretty balls deep on it quick. Do some really cool stuff with it. So just to make things a little bit different. Yeah, I just wanted to update you guys. So here we are in the new garage. It's, you know, it's nothing too fancy right now, but we've got time to make it better. It's so nice having a larger space. Oh my God. I'm thankful for that. Obviously we have the 135 N54 build. It does need some work. We are losing boost on the car right now. So we got to figure out what's going on. I think that I have well, I'm almost positive that I have a boost leak somewhere, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the intercooler piping. I just had to finesse the silicone couplers to just make this work as is, but we are losing boost. So we're going to be diving back into this once all the bodywork is done. So the bodywork is going to get done. Right now, the car, where it is we have the flares on and everything. All the fiberglass is done. It needs to be sanded, and then there needs to be a little bit of Bondo put on the car to just clean it up and make it really nice and smooth, and then sand it again. And then of course, all of the paint work needs to get done. So, you know, obviously we have all of the OEM parts minus the flares. The flares are not OEM. We have the carbon fiber hood, which I am going to actually paint this hood as well. I'll leave the little vent parts exposed carbon fiber, but I will end up painting this. And then this car will be in pretty good shape. This car, I would like to single turbo it, obviously. That's the way to go with these cars. The twins are just, they're fine, you know, they're okay, but they're just problems. Like, they're just problematic over time. So I would rather have a nice big single on this car. I'm trying to decide which route I want to go for that as well. So I want to make this car super rowdy, but also look incredible. And I already know, I can visualize how this car is going to look when I'm done with it, and it's going to look phenomenal. I have all the carbon fiber for this car already. I have a front lip, I have the side skirt extensions, I have a rear diffuser. Thinking about getting a trunk for it as well, like kind of like my E92 M3 carbon trunk. But we'll see. You know, we've got some time. But the most pressing thing that this car needs to do is needs to go to the body shop. We got to get all of the paint done and all that, and then she'll come home and I'll finish up what I can to just make it presentable, and then we'll dive back into motor and get, you know, the reflex done, the port injection. I have all the stuff. We just need to finish it up. E92 M3, still working on suspension. I have the adjustable control arms with the Turner Motorsports adjustable control arms. We're gonna replace those. We're also gonna replace all of the bushings up front. We're gonna do some transmission work. I have some drive shaft stuff that I'm doing, and then this car also will be having paint work done. I have the Euro bumper, I have new grills, I have everything. So it's gonna get painted. Basically the whole front clip will get painted, blended into the doors, and then I'll also be painting the carbon fiber trunk to match the car. So both of the cars really do need a little bit of body work, and you know, my goal right now is, it's February, we've got a little bit of time. My goal right now is to get these cars good for everything this summer. Summers are hot when it comes to car shows here in Charlotte, and I want these two cars to be in a really good position. I've I've actually got a couple of sets of wheels coming. So everything is going to change with both of these cars. The 513Ms that I have on the E92 M3, good wheels, not bad by any means, but they're just too small for that car. They're not wide enough and the offset is not aggressive enough. I'm running a 12.5mm spacer up front, still not flush, and I'm running a 18mm spacer in the rear, still not flush. I don't like running spacers that big, and it's just, it would need more width and more offset in order to get it to the point where I'm happy with it. So I ended up ordering a set of wheels for the E92 M3 that I think are gonna look really good on this car, and I think you guys will agree. They're just bigger all around and they're gonna fit the body style a lot better. I'm still going to try and run the 513Ms on the 135, a 1M clone build when I'm done, just to see how they'll look. I'm a little bit concerned that they may not be aggressive enough for that car, but we'll find out. We'll see what happens. And then I do also have one more set of wheels coming. So I have a set of wheels that will be here soon, and then I have a set of wheels that are coming in summer. So they take a while to get made. Some of you may know what they already are just by saying that, but those ones will be here, and I can kind of decide. The great thing about these two cars is they share very similar, if not exact, fitments when it comes to wheels. So I can kind of decide which wheels I want to go where once I have proper fitting wheels for the cars. So the 513Ms, I love them. They're great wheels. It's just unfortunate they're a little bit too slim and a little bit too conservative with offset. So we'll see what happens with those. I don't know if I end up like offloading them down the road or just putting them in storage and waiting until I have a car that they fit really well on, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll throw them on the 1M deal, the 1M clone when it's done, and we'll see how they look. So yeah, I hope this video finds you guys well. I hope this answers some questions for you guys. Sorry it took so long to make this video. You know, just like I said, I got life stuff going on, and that's okay. Anyways, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you as always, you know, following along with the builds and being a part of this channel. It's really has been a blessing to be able to do this for a living and be able to, you know, enjoy my passion and my hobbies for a living. I'm not a very large YouTuber in this space. I don't make millions of dollars, but I am very fortunate enough to be able to pay for my life and, you know, support myself and my family, and do that by working on these cars that I truly enjoy, and that's something that I never take for granted. So as always, thank you guys so much. I will see you in the next video.